to tonight's Board of Selectmen's meeting. It's Monday, February 22nd. Reductions. Tonight we have with us Kelly Hugo, our recording secretary, Tom Wooden, our town manager, and Selectmen Trish Warren, Wendy Wolf, myself, Denise Griffin, and Bill Hamlet. Okay, Tom, town manager announcements.
Thank you. Well, I just wanted to start off this evening with congratulating the girls' high school basketball team. They won the West Virginia Class C title, and they'll be playing for the state title this Saturday at 7 p.m. So that's congratulations to the girls. I also have all the paperwork and so forth for your choice for Spirit of America, which I'd like to have you sign, the proclamation and so forth this evening. Without giving anything away, would you like me to invite this person to the next meeting to make that formal at that meeting?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Just a reminder that papers are due for selectmen and other positions that are available. Papers are due March 22nd. Some of them have already come back in. And just another reminder that Bob Fonts will be here on the 14th of March to discuss the sea level study proposal he brought up a few meetings back. And I think that's all I have right at the moment for announcements.
Okay, great, thanks. Julia, do you want to review the financials?
Sure. Total revenue year to date, $4,908,236.59. Total expenses year to date, $5,075,289.24. Taxes are due March 10th with interest beginning March 11th. So as you can see, according to our revenue compared to this time last year, our tax collection is up about 1.7%. So that makes up some timing. And our expenses are still down. Our winter operations are still lower.
Saving us money?
Yes, still lower than this time last year. Total accounts payable is $23,548.85, and the bank balance is $1,588,390.88. Does anyone have any questions?
Looks like our expense line finally caught up with last year,
It has, yes.
to the width of the line anyway.
Okay, so it looks like we're in good shape still.
Yeah.
Okay, and I would wager a bet that we're going to be in good shape come the end of the fiscal year as well.
I'm counting on it.
Okay,
The plan.
Great, it's the plan. Thanks.
Okay, so we'll move on to the consent agenda. Could I have a motion to approve the minutes of the February 8th meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? No? All in favor? Okay, approved. All right, and we have one liquor license renewal to review and approve tonight. So it is a renewal from Fish and Sons doing business as Captain Fish's Cruises. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Any discussion from the public audience? No? Seeing none, I'll ask for a vote. All in favor? Okay, that's approved. Great. Okay, we have no old business, so we'll move on to Lori Bouchard, who is here to help us review or discuss the HR personnel manual update. So, Lori, Tom, I don't know who started
Well,
this.
Lori and I talked about it a little bit beforehand. I mean, I sent these out to you electronically, both the red line version and the clean version. Lori's here to answer any questions you may have about any changes that were made to it. I thought we'd probably start there and see where the conversation went. If you have any questions about changes that were made.
Okay. I do.
Okay,
Go for it.
Lori's right here.
Go ahead.
All right.
Where do we start?
Most of my questions are in the category of, so what was the thought behind this?
Okay.
Rather than absolute
Now, you want the
changes.
clean version or the red line version?
I have a red line version in front of me, so
Okay.
I'm working from that.
Hopefully our page numbers will line up.
Yeah.
You can look at all.
And my first question is on page 7, and we've deleted the department head authority and board of selectmen authority sections, and I was just curious as to the thinking behind that. Is it just that it's not necessary for this document?
Right, this is really a document for the employees of the town. Everything that anybody that works for the town, when they're wearing their employee hat, needs to know. And when we discussed that, this section is not information that the employees need to know. So
Okay. Is this captured anywhere else in our documentation, Tom?
I don't have that.
Oh, okay.
What is that exactly?
Well,
There you go.
It's management rights.
yeah, it's the management rights. It's that the board of selectmen shall deal only through you in hiring, firing, and department heads are delegated authority to establish their own rules, policies, and procedures. I mean, it's sort of useful in some sense, and so I was
Yeah,
curious
lays out
if it
the
existed
authorities.
elsewhere.
The only thing we've changed recently is what we changed, I believe, at last
Yeah.
year's town meeting in our ordinances itself, which
Yeah, that's
clarifies,
just
but-
one sentence.
But, well, it actually details the different jobs.
Yeah, yeah, I
Yeah.
understand.
But I don't think it's written down.
It's
Is it
the
somewhere else?
language in the union contracts as
Oh,
well.
that's true. Yeah, it's in the union contracts too.
Okay.
It's
All
nice
right.
there.
So that language is repeated in the
It is.
union contract?
Yeah.
So the union employees will understand that.
Right.
I just
So there's
didn't
two
want it to
lines.
drop off the face of the earth, because I think it has some
Right.
usefulness in how things operate.
Yep.
I understand it's not necessarily appropriate to this document. That's all I have there. My next, and I'm sort of doing this sequentially, so if others have
Yeah, go ahead.
questions
So
along
far.
the way, jump in. My next question is on page 11, and this is a nit, I'm sure. It's under the definition of immediate family, which says, I have two questions. One is first cousin has been inserted. Is that a state or federal law, or is that just current practice?
So let me just catch up with you here.
Yeah, it's the definition of immediate family,
Yeah.
spouse,
So this
children,
is
parents.
definitions as used in code.
Yeah,
So this is in your code of ethics. One thing with the red line version, just to keep in mind, is anything in black was yours originally.
yes, understood.
Anything in blue were my suggestions, and anything in red were Matt Tesarevich, or whatever his last name
Okay.
is, the employment attorney. So Matt actually inserted that, and I don't know if that's because it's a municipality, and because this is a code of ethics, if that's why he added that. I'm assuming he
Well, this
didn't
is
make
just
it
a
up.
definition. It's not yet the code of ethics. This is just definitions.
Right, a first degree family.
Well,
Yeah.
the section
Which
is
is an
labeled,
odd
on the
inclusion.
top of page 10 is labeled Code of Ethics. Overview, definitions, standards, statutory, so all of this was your original
Okay, so it's in the
language.
code of ethics
Yeah.
section, but it's under definitions.
Definitions, right.
Um,
So I believe that he would not have added that if that was not common practice among municipalities.
Yeah, we're such a small town, that it's hard to get away from even first cousin.
Yeah,
You know,
the more you exclude here, the more difficult
the more
it is.
difficult it comes, and I just wondered if there was any leeway in that, or if it was,
We should probably ask Matt.
yeah, I guess
Can
I
you
think we
ask
should
Matt?
ask
Just-
Matt if that's
Yeah.
a must-have or
Lori
or a
did
nice to
that.
have. And,
I went with it because
yeah, no, I understood. My second
his advice is here and mine's here.
point is a nit, and that in the definition, it says spouse, children, all these things, and domestic partner of a town employee, town selectman, board member, or committee member. Usually when the term immediate family is used, it's the immediate family of the employee, or the immediate family of the selectman. So to have in the definition the list of the town employee makes it a little bit confusing, because you're saying the spouse of a town employee is the immediate family of the selectman, if you use it in that sense. I would just have a period after domestic partner. Immediate family is defined as spouse, children,
Right.
parents, siblings, et cetera, and domestic partner, period.
Okay, I think the reason there is if you don't go on to say that the Code of Ethics applies to relatives or immediate family, and you don't specify immediate family of who, then some could assume that it's just immediate family of employees
I
and not
believe
immediate
when, I believe
family.
when immediate family is used, it's always, is followed by of somebody, town official, public official, selectman, et cetera. Maybe that's not true, but I think it is. But anyway, I'm not hung up over that, but that's just a nit.
I mean, I read that to believe that at least it clarifies, besides the town employees that are working 40 hours a week, it also applies to committee members and board members that
The
are
immediate
voluntary
family,
boards.
right. Immediate family of town selectmen, immediate family of board members, immediate family of committee members. It does, that of modifies all of those.
That's how I read it anyway.
Yeah, well, it says that under section 11 on page 16, conflicts of interest. In the middle of the paragraph, it says the recommendation, discussion, or vote at which the town selectmen, board members, committee members are present. If any town selectman, board member, or committee member who believes, and the next sentence, selectmen's board members or committee members' immediate family. So there's the definition. Immediate family has a financial or special interest other than interest held by the public generally, then agenda item, you should step down and do all the good things he needs to do. So, again, it names those groups together with immediate family. Again, I don't think we should get hung up on this. I think everybody understands the intent. My next question was on the bottom of page 19, and it's the same sort of question earlier. Hiring procedures has been deleted, and there are other sections that have been deleted, but they show up elsewhere. Do the hiring procedures show up elsewhere?
So the hiring procedures were removed for the same reason as the earlier, that
Yep,
the
okay.
employee that's reading this has already been hired, so it doesn't really apply to an employee of the town reading the manual.
Okay.
Tom would have to answer whether it's,
Then I'll ask Tom the same
Appears somewhere
question. Is
else.
that captured elsewhere?
Well, as far as who's responsible for doing hiring for certain positions and so on and so forth, that is in our ordinances that we corrected last year.
Yeah, but this
What else
goes
is here?
beyond that. It says the town manager shall post an announcement for vacancies.
Procedures.
In these publications, shall specify position, title, salary range.
Some of those are dictated by the union contract as well, as far as what we have to post.
Well, I think our intent when we sat down was that we're going to try to develop a fleet maintenance program for the cars. We're going to try to develop a policy and procedures manual for hiring. I think this was like, one part of what our intent was
Yeah.
for developing
It's
the
not the whole
policy.
package.
Yeah, I think where those need to be is in a procedure.
And a policy and procedure.
Right.
That's
I think
my
that's
only
where we're
point.
going with it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we would
no,
like some of this
I agree.
preserved.
Right.
Yes.
That's what we're saying.
Yes,
Yeah,
sure. If
maybe
it's-
not in the
If
employee
it's,
handbook.
and I haven't read it to see if I think it's really good or not, but the intent, I think, it should be preserved somewhere, so that,
I think this was just phase one of
yeah,
a plan.
that's fine. Okay, my next question is on the bottom of page 24, and I can only...
Wait, I have
Okay.
22.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Page 22, under harassment and retaliation. It says the town will not tolerate illegal harassment. Bullying was struck. And was that Matt striking
That
your
was Matt.
bullying?
that was Matt.
That was Mike striking
So
your
employment
bullying.
attorneys don't always agree. My policy, which included bullying, came from an employment attorney in
Yeah,
Portland.
yeah, okay.
And it's interesting to see kind of the development of the whole bullying concept, because bullying starts on the playground, works its right up through school and right up through corporate America. And bullies don't necessarily bully people based on a protected category. They don't
Right.
just bully women or just men or just people on sexual orientation. So previous to the last edition of the policy that I did from the attorney that I work with, bullying never really showed up. In January of 2015, so just over a year ago, the updated policy that I received from him included bullying. But if you think about it, it really does create a hostile work environment. And a hostile work environment is one of the two major forms of harassment. It's just not generally based on a protected category. So Matt is going, I think, with a letter of the law saying bullying by itself, if it's not on a protected category, isn't illegal.
All right.
And the other employment attorney is saying bullying is not appropriate in the workplace, it's a hostile work
Right,
environment.
that creates a hostile work environment. I mean, personally, I would be in favor of keeping
I would
bullying
kind of like to
in.
have it, that was
Yes.
actually my next thing on the bottom of page 24.
Ah, you
Description
skipped. You
Description of bullying is deleted.
And then the next clause, it says, or workplace violence based on sex. And I would assume that a hostile workplace would be workplace violence, period. It doesn't matter whether it's based on sex or not, it would just be workplace violence.
Where did you see that?
It's right after the bullying thing.
Oh.
That's it, because I view this as a general harassment policy, not a sexual harassment.
Okay, so
Policy.
the sex is just one of the protected categories.
Right.
And then it has parentheses, but then it goes on to sexual orientation, race, color, religion, national origin, then history, age, disability, speaking out against discrimination, or any other protected category. So when it says based on sex, that's just one modifier, it's all of the protected categories. So,
Okay,
and that
so
is
you're listing out all the protected
Right.
categories.
so technically, you can harass somebody based on the fact that you don't like their boots.
Sure.
Okay? So illegal harassment is based on a protected category.
Yeah,
So that's why they're all listed there.
I
Okay.
understand the logic.
yes. So let's keep bullying in there, at least
But
that's my recommendation.
I agree with you, I would like to see that back in there. Unless it creates some large problem.
Or the alternative might be, we might want to talk to Matt about it, is addressing it in its own separate way,
Yeah,
or
whatever.
addressing it a different way.
Well, it does relate to what's on page 24, where the description of bullying is
Right.
included. So perhaps we need to have sort of a punch list to ask Matt
Yeah,
some of
Yes.
those
that's what I
things.
mean.
But I do think workplace bullying is a problem, and whether it is a,
Legally protected or not, we should not
Well,
tolerate it.
yes, we should
Well,
not
right,
tolerate.
but that's to my point. We might want to make it its own little separate category and include it in here, and its own separate couple of paragraphs.
Yeah, which I think Lori
So-
had, so, but which was stricken on page 24, so,
Right, but
yeah.
it may,
But if Matt's not comfortable with it being inside the harassment
but
policy,
it could
we
be
could pull it out.
outside, that's what I'm trying to say.
And we could do that.
In its own separate.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's check with Matt, because I do think it's good to have it in the policy, in the manual, whether it's
Right.
inside the,
Harassment policy or not.
right.
Yes.
Sorry, Bill, I
No.
interrupted your flow, so
No,
keep going.
You were ahead of me on that one, but I agree with it entirely. My next question, I guess, is on page 25, under complaint process. Any individual who believes he or she has been the subject of any form of harassment should immediately report the incident to one or more of the following individuals, and it lists the town manager and the finance officer, and then it looks like Matt's added any supervisor or department head. My first reaction is that the selectman might be a reasonable part of that group that someone could go to, because the selectmen are actually much more outside of the administration and the environment than either Julia or Tom are, and therefore there might be an increased comfort level. That was my thought.
So one of the things
I disagree.
that I've seen done in other places is you could add that if, in the unusual circumstance, that the town manager is
Yes.
either involved in the harassment
Yeah, that's
or didn't correct the harassment, they should be able to go to a town select.
Yes, I
for
would
that.
put that proviso in. That's very common, that
Yeah.
say if the CEO or the town manager or whatever is the
That entirely.
originator of the
Yeah.
complaint, basically.
Or
is
doesn't,
the
or doesn't
complaint
address
that-
it,
yeah.
or doesn't address it, right?
Right, then they can seek redress with
Yeah.
the
Or-
selectmen,
Or
but,
who does Tom go to?
well, yes.
Psychiatrist.
But I don't think that the selectmen should be in the chain of command for just any employee complaint. 'cause-
No, I'm happy with the
Yeah.
proviso that you put in there.
I
Okay,
think that also
Whatever-
sort of dovetails into what we ran into last year, and
Yes.
that's eventually this
Yeah.
can become part of the appeal process.
Yeah.
So
right.
Right, it would,
Yeah.
it would
yeah,
take that.
it would- exactly.
My next question was on page 29.
Can I ask, Lori, is there a reason Matt expunged all the stuff after on 25, that the Maine Human Rights Commission? I mean, it really was just description
So
of
my
what the process would
employment,
be.
my employment attorney basically always has that in there because
Right.
employees do have a right to go right to Maine Human Rights,
Yes.
not just to come. But a lot of organizations, there's no legal requirement that you have to put all that information in there. You are required to give the address and the phone number.
Right.
But you're not required to, lead them down the path. And some employment attorneys like Matt believe don't give employees, don't go that far to give them, almost promote going directly there, because we want to address those situations ourselves.
Sure.
We don't want them to go to Maine Human Rights, we want to address it, here. So that's just the difference, again, between two employment attorneys. I think Matt struck that because we are required to give the address and the phone number. We're not required to give any more information about the number of days that they have or part of the process.
Yeah, I'm okay with Matt's edit on that. I was just curious on
Yeah,
why that.
that's fine.
Thank you. Okay.
So just a question on the firearms and weapons policy. The one that was deleted included a definition of a firearm and referred back to the state, and the current one does not. Is there any danger there?
I mean, not referring to the statute?
Yeah.
I think Matt was comfortable. The blue is what I received from an employment attorney. And actually, it was an employment attorney at Bernstein Sher. And then Matt modified what the other attorney at Bernstein Sher did. It's a matter of preference, but I don't think we have to quote the state statute.
Okay. And my next, I think this is just a comment, is on page 30, employment of relatives. It says that additional immediate family members of the town manager, town selectman, or any employee of the finance department is prohibited from employment in the town for the purposes of this policy. And that just repeats the definition. So if you were to capitalize immediate family, it would revert back to the definition given earlier. Again, I don't think it really matters. And it has the same question about first cousins.
Yeah.
That's true.
Lori, do you want to just refresh my memory on why the finance department was singled out there?
Yep.
Just because of past history?
No, nothing to do with past history. Typically, organizations will try to avoid the employment of relatives of people who are in positions where there could be collusion. So finance, HR, town manager, town selectman, where, you've got two people that are, closely associated through marriage or relative family relationship could, decide to get together and do something to harm the town.
Vacation time.
That's another complication, but it might be one you could live with. The fact that two employees that, work for the town would take vacation at the same time, that's something that you could maybe live with. But just that added risk of...
It's a financial risk there.
Financial.
Right.
And HR, you don't have an HR, you have HR and finance combined. If you had a separate HR person, I'd put that person, that position in the list too. Because HR, if you do a payroll, you can create a fictitious employee and have the money go to your relative. I mean, this...
Well, it also relates to a control, basically. I mean, particularly in the area, if finance does your payroll and everything else, then there's a control when you have family members as employees, so.
I mean, the reason I ask is that we're audited every year. There's no way you could get away with it. So, I mean, it seems, if that employee was working in a different department, I would understand it. If they're working in the same department, yeah, I wouldn't be cool with it. But that's why I bring it up.
Well, audit helps, but there have been
Audit doesn't go down to that,
audit
yeah.
doesn't
Lots of towns.
do everything. Lots of towns have had problems,
Some have, yeah.
so. And other organizations too, not only towns. So. Okay,
All right.
moving on.
Next is actually quite a ways down in the section on grievance procedure at the top of page 43. I think there is unless missing, at the bottom of paragraph 2 in red, so Nat says, if the employee was appointed by the select board, the town manager's decision will be final it is not appealable to the select board. And then paragraph 3 says, if the employee was appointed by the select board and is dissatisfied with the town manager's step 2 response, the employee may, within 5 calendar days, appeal to the Board of Selectmen. So I think the sentence at the bottom of paragraph 2 should read, unless the employee was appointed by the select board, the town manager's decision will be final and is not appealable to the select board.
Thank you, Rob.
I believe that is fixed in a clean copy, because that, I remember that being in an email from Matt.
Okay.
Yeah,
Just
I
trying-
have that checked off here that we fixed that.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm just trying to find it in a clean copy, which of course doesn't have the same page numbers.
No, they don't, but
Right.
it does contradict, yeah.
Yeah, there would be.
Yeah, yes, I just always been
fixed that.
doing.
Yeah. I first read that, and they said, I said, they're trying to rewrite the town code again in the personnel manual. Then I realized it
Try page 35.
was just a negative.
Okay, it says in the clean copy, if the employee was not appointed by the select board,
Okay.
the town manager's decision will be final and is not appealable to the select board. That's just a change, that we didn't get back into the red line, because that already created the clean copy when Matt wrote the email, so
That's fine.
it's hard to go back to.
Fine. I just,
Yeah,
there is a significant issue here, is that anything in this manual needs to be consistent with our codes. And
Right.
the codes determine, you know, they're the gold standard, not this manual.
Right.
I was very cognizant
Actually-
of that as we were going.
I'm sure you were.
Yeah.
So, let me ask on page 44, is it 44? Yeah, the blue line copy. I'm just, information, is our introductory period always been 6 months for non-bargaining employees? So that is just an affirmation, okay, just could not remember.
And then I think I kind of ran out of steam, and my only final comment is, there's just a lot of words about the Family and
Yeah,
Medical Leave Act,
it is.
and they're all needed?
yeah. It is the most complicated law in the books today.
Okay.
You have to comply with both federal and state laws, and you have to tell employees their rights. So a lot of that is about their rights and obligations, but also about the town's obligations. So it is, it's 5 or 6 pages long.
Yeah, it's a little tough sledding.
It's a lot,
Yeah.
but it is the most complicated law in the books today for HR.
Well, Lori, I should have started all this, thank you so much for all the hard work you did. This was a very
Yes.
large task, and you did it very quickly and very economically. I appreciate
You're
it.
very welcome, my pleasure.
I'm done.
Yeah, I didn't have anything else
Great.
beyond recommend.
Great.
So what's the
Okay,
next step
so,
to this? You want me to just touch base with Matt on a couple of things?
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah.
depending on the
And
answer,
then-
approve it then?
And then we can, yeah.
Then we can vote on
Adopt
it.
it then?
Yeah,
Okay, yeah, I circled a couple of things we wanted to talk about. All right,
wonderful, great. Okay, thanks very much, Lori.
thank you. Laura.
Yeah, Laura, well done.
Have a good drive home.
Yeah.
I will, thank you very much.
Okay.
It's a check mark.
Yeah,
Yeah.
big one. A
Big
big one,
one.
because it went back and forth
Add that to the
quite,
reference
you,
report.
yeah, I.
Thank you for that.
But, we went back and forth quite a lot about that. Okay, so, comprehensive plan discussion. I think we were looking at chapter 2, which when I read chapter 2, everybody agrees that's what we were going to review.
Yes.
That's the section on water. So,
And all the action items were Mike's.
I will say, when I read this, I thought, in light of recent Michigan current events about water, it certainly got me thinking about, well, every time we hear about and moan and groan about the water district in this town or other towns replacing pipes, I'm like, oh, not worrying about that anymore. Replacing pipes is actually a good thing. So,
Yeah, the only thing that I and this is really not the selectmen, but I know the West Harbor Pond Association has been trying, I think, for a while to get some grant funding to address invasive species and the health of the pond. They seem to, I guess, never get a competitive enough score to be funded. And I'm just curious if there's ever been any assessment of how do we help them lift up the competitiveness of their request, because it is a very important part of our community. It's not exactly a selectman area of focus, but I think it'd be worth our while to maybe hear from them whenever they're here. I don't know if those folks are here in the wintertime or whatever, but the whole area of West Harbor Pond, the bridge over West Harbor Pond, the egress, the issues with invasive species, the loss of fishing. It's one of the resources, and it'd be worth it even to hear from Lincoln County, Bob Fonts and Mary Ellen Barnes, to see if there's anything we could do to help facilitate that. I mean, that's about the only thing that came out of this for me, so.
No, it's been a very frustrating topic. I think as time has evolved, it's I don't know, it's clear to me, it's certainly very strongly by the impression of the Pond Association, that they'd really like to get that siphon back in operation, and it doesn't seem like it would be that hard, yet every time we try, it just is met with obstacle after obstacle, and we tried to see if we could just do it at low cost, and we still got quotes of whatever it was, $200,000 or something. It seemed absurd for 150 feet of pipe.
150 feet.
Well, I'm making it up. But, it's got to go from the bottom of the pond
Right.
up to a certain height under the roadway and out across the dam.
I mean, I think if I remember correctly, a contributing factor to that wasn't simply the cost, it's that they're concerned about if it breaches.
Yeah.
I mean, once they open that up, they're not sure what they're going to find in there. So they're not anxious to open it up.
No, they're not.
And they've made that very clear. And unless it becomes a priority, which it's not for them.
And I've also heard, and I think this is probably pure rumor, that if that dam were ever to fail, they would build a bridge. They wouldn't reconstruct the dam.
Right, right. Yeah, they do what they did in, what was it?
Oh, yeah.
Waldeboro, something like that, as you're heading towards.
Towards Alma?
Yeah, well, heading towards Damerscott, there was that dam that broke there, and I
Yeah.
forget what it was, but they didn't rebuild it.
Yeah.
And now, so everybody had this beautiful river out there, and now they just have a creek that goes through it. And, yeah, in my conversations with the state DOT and DEP and DMR, they would pick the most economical route to repair that, and they'd put a bridge in, and then that would really change everything. They wouldn't rebuild the dam. So, I don't know what to tell you. We all agree that there's an issue. It's just a matter of the people that are responsible for it legally aren't interested in acting on it.
Well, sometime I'd love to hear from the West Harbor Pond Association.
Well, I think that's a reasonable approach, is when summertime comes around, just set up a meeting, have them come in and tell us what their status is, what their plans are, so that if there is a coordination, we can do it.
Yeah, that was about the only thing I saw in here. So, chapter 2.
Okay?
Anybody else? Okay. Great. Well, then we can move on to public forum. Are there any public forum comments tonight?
President's Day.
No? Okay. So we'll move on to warrants.
We
Move
approve the
approve.
warrants.
I'll second that.
Careful with
Okay. All in favor of approving the warrants? Great. All right. And it looks like we need an executive session tonight under Title I, Section 40568 to discuss work assignments. So all in favor of going into executive session at 7:35?